So I'm gonna go like that, and we'll get started. Sunday. Hey, thank you for being here on episode 2 of Networking with Nathaniel. You and I have met before. It's been not even a week, and I kind of challenged you to do a couple things, and not only did you do them, but you're talking to me today, which is exciting for me, and hopefully you're excited as well. Um, I like to start with just kind of getting to know you a little bit, letting all the other sub two students and other people that are, coming to this channel get to know you a little bit. So, I know a little bit. Why don't you just take a couple minutes, tell me what you got going on, a little bit about your past, like just highlight Sunday for a second.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is my first ever in front of the camera. Normally, I'm behind the
Yeah.
scenes taking care of stuff and an implementer. So I would say that's the first thing about me.
Hmm.
Um, a little bit about me. I live in Southern California. I've been here for 18 years. My accent, I'm from Chicagoland area. I never lost it, even though I've been out here for a while. My parents moved out here 30 years ago or 31 years ago, my sister, and then I showed up 18 years later. So
Very
it's been,
nice.
or I've been here for 18 years.
Yeah.
A little bit about me. I'm a unicorn within the sub two community. I've been in real estate in the industry for 15 years. However, I've been a licensed agent for 8. Um, I'm with Keller Williams is the brokerage that I'm with.
Mhm.
However, I started 15 years ago doing books for somebody that was a flipper on the courtyard steps. So
Right.
that they started out buying the houses with investors' money and then doing the flips. And then that market dried up right when I got my license. So about 8, 9 years ago. And um, I was with a different brokerage firm with these two people, and that dried up. And that brokerage didn't have the greatest training.
Mm.
So I went ahead and left and went to Keller Williams because they did have a great training program because I'm like, I got to know this stuff. So, and I've been there. I switched offices, but what really got me into sub two was my nephew. So he's a young 21-year-old. He just got his license April 20th on my parents' 60th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So he got his license and he's doing commercial. He is the one that got myself, my sister, and him into the executive sub two program. And
Very nice.
that was, I think, March 29th we got in. And then the end of May, my sister went to the mastermind. Well, a week before the mastermind, she broke her arm and she's like, I need you to come and help me because I need someone to pull my pants off and get me dressed for the mastermind. So I
Yeah.
tagged along with her. I did not go to the actual um during the day, but all the meetups, like we met Kevin Cho and like the before and afters, I got to meet a lot of people like Effie
Mm.
and Stephen Vagaria, met them, great people. So it was really nice to meet like-minded people
I
and
bet.
collapse time frames. So
Yeah.
if you ever have a chance, I'm going to the mastermind in October to sit through it, and because it will be the last one. So any of you out there that want to go see it or need it, or if you can have the resources, I highly recommend it. It's worth every single penny.
Yeah.
And I was very skeptical about this. And I will say this, as we get older, at 18, we know everything.
Mhm.
But the older I get, the more I know I don't know.
Yeah.
And I had a client that this was the tipping point for me. So I had a client that had a commercial property in Ojai, a block off of Main Street in the business park, and it was the flagship lot, flagship building.
Mm.
And I had it listed, and she had to list it, her and her husband, because they were going to be bankrupt, file bankruptcy.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it didn't sign. I didn't have a buyer, couldn't find a buyer in time, and they filed bankruptcy and lost their $500,000 worth of equity
Wow.
in the property. And she's 74 years old. So at 74, how can you start over? Now, if I would have known what I know now in the sub two and how we could have salvaged that,
Mhm.
it would have changed her life.
Right.
Unfortunately, at 74, how do you pick up and start over at 74. So um, that's a vow to myself that I was like, I have to learn this stuff and understand and put myself out there. And it's another tool in my tool belt as a traditional real estate agent, and even talking to other real estate agents and helping them understand what we do in sub two
Hmm.
and how it's beneficial, because you will come across those in your career where, oh my gosh, how do I help this person? And you can't.
Yeah.
But if you have that tool in your tool belt, you know, and it's unfortunate for the ones that aren't open-minded in that are realtors that give us a bad name. You know what I mean? So I'm vowing not to be one of those people. And the older I get, the more I know I don't know. Um, so in my day to day, my sister is a real estate investor.
Okay.
They retired. They had a car dealership here in Southern California. They sold that. My brother-in-law has a 10-acre avocado farm and he rides his tractor. And he's like, here's the money, go do what you want. And so when you know better, you do better. So this was 2 years ago before we were in sub two.
Okay.
And we bought 10 properties that year,
Mm-hmm.
all traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
If we would have known better, we would have done better. We would have been able to buy, 20, 30, 40 properties
Right.
with the sub two way. However, and we bought ourselves a job. So, like Pace teaches and shows, we did everything wrong, set it up all wrong, and now we're undoing all that and connecting with people in sub two that have it structured properly. We're next week we're meeting with an attorney,
Okay.
how it's structured, because she has a couple LLCs. So, and having a holding company and all that. And then property managing. So, like right now, I have two of the properties that are being rented right now, looking for long-term renters in those. She
Okay.
does short-term rental. She has a triple net lease on one of her commercial properties. So there's a lot of different things that we're involved in. And some of them all in, and some things like on the triple net lease, that's not me. That's with the dealership, the car dealership. They own the land on that, and that's a
Okay.
triple net lease.
Hmm.
So, and then I have my traditional clients. I have a couple listings right now that I'm doing, and if a buyer comes across, like, a lot of referral business as well. So that's on my day to day. And then right now I'm really diving deep into understanding and knowing as much as I can and learning as much as I can um, with Pace.
Right.
Um,
There's so much
and
to learn there.
there is so
Yeah.
much to learn, and I do have the shiny object thing
Yeah.
going, and I'm trying to focus and figure out which one's best for me, you know, because I'm a connector. So getting involved in real estate in general is like I used to connect people all the time because I know a lot of people,
Yeah.
and so now when I got into real estate, I'm like, oh, now I get paid for it, because like the other day I had a client call me and they're like, I need a termite guy. Who do we use? So I'll just shoot them out my contacts to people, you know what I mean? And that's just building a relationship. And it's cliche, but really, truly connecting with people and having meaningful relationships and building that is what's most important to me. Like, I used to tell people, by the time I get finished with you, I'll know your underwear and bra size. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because and my sister, who's told stories about car dealerships, is that, people spend more time buying a car sometimes than they do a house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like, no, like during COVID, I took people out and showed them 30, 40, 50 houses, wrote 12 contracts because the market was going crazy
Right.
until we got the right one.
Yeah.
And, it's dedicating the time and making sure. And I remember having a conversation with one of my clients in front of a house, and I'm like, you got to have faith. Like, this is our 12th offer that we've written, and if you don't write on this one, you don't know. But
Right.
what's the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
Yeah.
Just like when you're negotiating, what's the worst thing that can happen when you're doing the repairs? They say no. Okay, well, at least you asked, and it's peace of mind that, hey, at least I asked the question.
Right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
answer is always this is something I learned a while ago, and I told my wife and she's adopted it now. Unless you ask, the answer is already no.
Right.
So you just got to ask and see, just expect the no and hope for a
And,
yes.
And I think learning from the younger generation, because, like I'm having all these technical, I tech-tarded moments, but I'm going to master it at some point. But learning from these younger generation, like my nephew, like a Chuck Kevin show who's been, seizing the opportunities. It's
Yeah.
like, what can we learn from them? But yet, my generation is that I got grit. Hey, if
Hmm.
I told you half the stuff that I've dealt with in my life, I've got 5 grandkids, 5 kids, like I've been around, done it, seen it, heard it all,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it's how you walk through life and the challenges that you are presented on how you manage those and maneuver through them. And I will say the one thing that gets me through it is the grit, hard work, determination is fundamental. My father at 84 is still working. He doesn't need to work. However, he wants to work and he's a
Yeah.
financial advisor. However, life happens and changes. The last month and a half, he's been in the hospital twice, almost lost him on July 18th. And if, by the grace of God, if I didn't step in, his body would have gone septic and maybe he wouldn't be around and this would be a different conversation. So it's probably the second time in my life. The first time was when I was 13 that you have life changing, altering moments in your life. And it's in those moments. And there's certain things that hit you in your life that are reminders that, tomorrow's not granted to anybody. Seize the day, take every moment and opportunity that comes your way. You know what I mean? So it's like, as scared as I was, and you're like, yeah, you want to come on my podcast? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
However,
that is you have taken steps towards capturing your project forward reality, I think. Just within
and
the
I
last
I
couple.
tried I tried to do it before my call with you today to have my first interview myself.
Yeah.
However, technology overcame me, and I'm going to learn how to do it by the end of the day today, and that's going to be another promise to myself. And then we also do something that Pace wanted us to do in the mastermind is that when we got back from mastermind every weekend on Saturdays from 10 to 12 at a local spot here, we have a meetup with
Okay.
whoever. So we've met a lot of amazing people. So we have it from 10 to 12 every Saturday. And gators are invited, people that aren't in, like, let's just network with people,
Yeah.
period. Before that, my sister had a marketing firm, a full service ad agency where we did production and all that. Like I said, I was behind the scenes. So we do know how to network, and that's probably, putting ourselves out there. And we
Hmm.
partnered up with another Juliet. She's a Gator and also in sub two. She was supposed to go to a camp community as well. So we've created this and then, create it and build it and see if they come. So that's another
Yeah.
thing that we do on every Saturday. And there's 3 of us or 4 of us that, if one person, like my dad was in the hospital, so, and my sister was in England traveling. So someone in the group took over and took the reins for us as well.
Okay.
And it's like, let's share it. Like,
Yeah.
why do I don't need to be the leader.
Right.
We're all in this community together. Like Pace says, it's not about me. It's about creating the relationships with everybody,
Yeah.
and there's other things going on at the same time. So maybe we change the location. Like if JJ Azarian's having like a picnic down in LA, okay, everybody, we're going to go down
Yeah.
there.
We'll
If you want
crash
to join
that.
us, we're going to go down there.
Yeah.
So it's and I remember when I was in high school, and I grew up in the Midwest,
Mm.
and there was this black boy that liked me. Well, I'd never been around a black person in before in my life. And the black girls were jealous or whatever, and they wanted to beat me up.
Yeah.
I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover, okay?
Yeah.
And I was petrified to go to school. So to make a long story short, I remember walking out the front door of my junior high and saying, why can't we just all get along? Like,
Mhm.
what, you know, what is it? And in that moment, I said to myself, do unto others as you want to have done unto you. And I just try to kill them with kindness, even though they try to stuff me in a locker. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
thing is that, but that was a lesson for me. It's like, all right, how am I going to mend this to make it so that they're my friends?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and and I just live by that. And it doesn't matter where, who, or what you are. We all pull our pants up at the same time. Color doesn't matter. It's like gender doesn't matter. Like, why can't we just all get along? Like, spread joy and love and
Yeah.
peaceful and happiness versus anger, fear, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Division and
that's
all
that's
that.
a little bit about me.
Well, I appreciate that. You did an excellent job there, Sunday. And you actually, I think you maybe have answered one of these questions a couple times in there, which is like, what's kind of the biggest life lesson and how did you learn it? I heard a couple. Um, Maybe one of those is what you kind of wanted to talk about here, or maybe you have another one.
Well, I would say my mother, who's 84, is like, she believed in abundance. She believed in every day is a holiday. That's one of her sayings. So I would say being around that environment, some people aren't blessed with that. However, my sister and I were believing in abundance. Everything comes, you just don't buy one, you always buy two or more. So the abundant thing was that there was never a scarcity
Okay.
mindset.
Yeah.
And so it was a constant reminder growing up. And I just thought that everyone was like that. It's a, my mother always was like, I want to live. I can't marry you to my dad on the first date. My dad proposed. I can't marry you. I need a house. And my dad's like, I'll get you a house. So talking about real estate, we have lived in very unique and different houses throughout our lives as
Mm,
well. So at some point, I just, we lived in a Pennsylvania bluestone barn that was 12,000 square feet with a pool, indoor pool, outdoor pool, tennis court, putting green.
wow.
Like, so when people out there that show that here's something different and it's a visionary, that's been in my realm of thinking my whole life. So
Mm,
I don't want to take that for granted. I got to remember where I came from because my parents came from a little town outside of Syracuse, New York, where the state fair is, and it's a steel mill, which is
okay.
like dead now, and there's
Yeah.
nothing there, and was there last year to go visit and remind myself. And there's something humbling about that too. And I get very peaceful when I'm there.
Mm,
So what is that I take away from my regular life where I'm living and where the roots are and where you come from and the simplicity of it? And there's a calmness that comes over at me.
mm,
And I'm looking, even though it's not, New York is not a great state to purchase. I'm being drawn that I want to purchase a sub two deal there.
You
And
heard it here
something just
first.
huh?
You heard it here first.
And something has come across my desk. It's a family member. So it's once, two, three times removed. However, like I'm probably related to half people in the town there.
Okay.
Um, where this person wants to sell their property, they're moving out here. So
Okay.
I'm like, do I want to purchase that? Let me look at the numbers. Let's see if it happens. And it may be my first sub two deal. We'll see.
Nice.
I'm one of the conservative ones where my sister's like, oh yeah, let's just go and do it. Like, and I'm like, okay, slow up. Let's
Yeah.
slow up.
You're getting
Like,
there. You're getting there Sunday.
if
You're
it
gonna,
works,
yeah.
and it's not that once I get all the information, I'll go with my intuition because my
Mm,
intuition has always led me in the right direction. And I don't base it on the fear. I base it on, okay, does this make sense? And that's what I like about pace too, is like, okay, if it cash flows, if it's this is my buy box. I'm
right.
still trying to figure out and fine tune what my buy box is. Um, However, being 56, my goal is that I want to live comfortably. I don't need to build a big empire. My sister, she wants the big empire and do all that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll support you and do that. I want to have enough money to have my freedom to go around and visit my grandkids because I've got my son is in Boston. I have another son that's here that probably will eventually move out. So I have a 34-year-old, a 23-year-old daughter that she's in Chicago, and then my 21-year-old's here, and he's on a 5-year plan that, you know, after 5 years, he wants to exit California.
Yeah.
However,
Okay.
we will always have the homestead here in California because got spoiled here with the weather.
Yeah.
You go other places in the country, however you pay for it with taxes and, the property. So, I'm in a little section here that's just heaven, and it's probably in the top 10 if you look it up, in the world for the same weather all year
Oh
round.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have my air conditioner on now because it's 90 something, but that's a rarity.
Right.
I sleep with my windows open all the time and, you know, in the winter months too. So, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And
Well, in many, many
however,
ways besides just living in Southern California.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but
I think it did.
I mean, once you get me
What was the
talking, like
question?
I'm shy behind the scenes, but once you get me talking, you can't shut me up.
That's what you didn't hear her say it, but before we turned the cameras on, she was saying, "This is I'm so nervous, blah blah blah." You could not tell that Sunday is nervous here. I appreciate you taking part with in this with me. This, like I said, this is episode 2, so I'm new to this as well. Where can we learn more about you? Where can we find you and connect with you? Maybe even do some
I
polls.
haven't had a great presence or a lot of presence on Instagram or like Facebook. It's everything. I tried to do the same. It's Sunday Alghini, which is
Okay.
there on the screen.
Yep.
So however you log in, like my IG, like I try to write everything down on a list because I'm still creating some of these myself. But Sunday Alghini, I think through Zoom, through Facebook, through Instagram, LinkedIn. It's all Sunday Alghini.
Okay. Well, hey, it
Is
was a
how you get
pleasure,
me.
Sunday.
It was. Thank you
I know
so
you
much
and
for
I,
having
this
me. I
isn't going to
enjoyed
be
it.
the last time you and I speak for sure, but um,
Yeah, you're gonna have to come on my pad,
I, I,
my podcast once I
as
get
soon
my
as you get it
fine
set
tuning
up,
in.
you tell
So
me.
it's got to be next week because we got to get the homework done.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So
Well, it was a
I'll send you out
pleasure.
a text
I,
message.
yeah, yeah, I got you.
All
Um,
right, thank
I'm
you,
gonna
Nathaniel.
make sure that your name pops up here. And any last things you want to say before signing off?
You know what?
No.
Pace is extraordinary. Meeting him up front person, what you see is what you get with him, and his master plan is mind blowing. Even though we only know 1% of it so far, so I look forward to the future with you and the community. And sky's the limit.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sunday. Well, it was a pleasure.
All right, peace
Later.
out. Thank you. Take care.
You too. All right.